Hello and welcome. I am Maestra Teacher and this is my 5th grade Oasis channel. I've been a teacher for more than 20 years and I've taught gen ed and bilingual classes as well. In today's video, I will be reviewing and giving my personal opinion about the curriculum from HMH into reading. After working 3 years with this curriculum, I have plenty of opinions about the different components of it. Some things I believe are good, some are not that good, but that goes for all curriculum. In my opinion, different curriculums are good at one thing and not as good as others, and vice versa. And in the end, I believe that it's not just the curriculum that matters for the success of the student. What matters most to me is the way you teach it and the way that student responds to it. One kind of curriculum can help certain population of students, while other could fit better other kinds of students. For our district, Into Reading was bought online for teachers, meaning Teacher's Guide. Nothing was given to us in a physical book. Everything was done online. And then they bought consumable books for students. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into the program right here. The way we access it in our district is through Clever. Clever is an app that holds all the different apps that we use as a district. And for Into Reading is this one called Ed. So as soon as you log in, the first thing you always see, of course, is the dashboard, and it gives you different updates or maybe messages. On my classes, this I only used in the beginning of the year because this is how you set up your classes with the system. You can view your classes, and this is where you will go and program it so they can have the book. You need to choose which is the one you're teaching. You will save it. It was quite easy, that part, so I think that part was okay, just to set up your classes. Discover is really the part that you will use the full year because this is where your modules are. This is also where your teacher's guide is and the student book as well. I get to choose. This was quite easy. Sometimes I taught in Spanish, so I was able to switch quickly in this part and it will give me Spanish and English. Throughout the modules, there's different readings and different genres. Inventors at Work, I really like this module. I really like the stories there. For example, the first one of The Inventor's Secret, the ones of Thomas Edison. I used it. I used The Winds of Hope, and I did use Captain Arsenio. For the first one, I remember doing different comparisons between readings to make connections, because we also learned about Thomas and Henry in social studies, so we were able to make connections. For Winds of Hope, there is a movie on this, so students can also watch the movie, so that was a good one. They really enjoyed these two readings, so those were fine. For the second one, we never did Airborne. I felt it was so long and students did not really enjoy it, so I usually skip that one. We did do The Secret Garden, when that will not end, when we were doing poetry to study the different poetry elements. For Module 3, the natural disasters, I like all of them. This is very related to the science class. The fourth one, I know there's teachers who did not use this one, but I do because I also teach social studies. For Module 5, that's the one. This has to do with science, and it had to do a lot with conservation of our planet. I really, the students really love this one, learning about how can people plant potatoes on rooftop, how people create their gardens in a city. I barely use Living Green, but I did Paros over Puerto Rico. Module 6 is the one related to the arts. This is more or less so and so. Some of these readings, students were hard. It's hard for them to relate. We do feel it's big text because also it's related to social studies. For this one, Above, Below, and Beyond, Mighty Mars Rovers, this is a good one. And there's a lot of videos you can present. Then Module 8, for this one, I use all of them, I believe, especially Elisa's Diary. Module 9 is very, the students like it a lot, especially when you talk about the Loch Ness Monster, the Finding Bigfoot. These ones are really good and students really enjoying. And Module 10, The Lives of Animals, we use the poem. There's another poem here that they enjoy. We did this one a lot. And we also did the story of Willie B. In Model 10, 11, and 12, I barely did any there because by that time it was the time for testing, state testing. So we were focusing on reviewing and so on. So let's use as an example Module 1 to see how we used it. In the beginning, of course, in all the when you start looking at the modules, it's first going to give you like an overview. What's this module about? What are the kind of skills that you're going to be teaching, from vocabulary, reading workshop, writing workshop. Um, the video that you're going to present to introduce the module. Each module has a video, so I would always play this video and the students would enjoy seeing it. And the good thing also about this series that it comes in Spanish, so bilingual students and bilingual teachers can benefit from it because you basically have the same readings in English or in Spanish, and the same thing go with the videos. You could have them in English and Spanish. You could also see an overview of what were the readings that you're going to have in each module. Also, they suggest here 3 weeks for an essay. I thought that was a good thing too, because that's more or less how I do it. I take every 3 weeks or so. That's when I do essays for writing. So when I would log in, week at a glance, let's see, where is that? Week 1, I would just go to week at a glance. This is really what I would see how my week was going to look like. They suggest some specific times here. You may or may not have that specific time. I was able to pick and choose what I thought was the most important part for each day. The writing was done on, it's supposed to be done daily. That's how it goes. Reading and writing goes together. Writing is not a separate subject. It's part of the reading class. It's a component. I did use the quizzes that were located here. The quizzes were good because I would have them in English and Spanish, so that's another good thing. And they were simple and quick. The students were able to do them quickly. They also have a weekly test. You may or may not use them. Some of these weekly tests, I thought they were okay, but others were just bad. I didn't like the wording. I didn't like the questions, so I ended up using them sometimes. Other times I did not. So this was my go-to to do my lesson plans and to see more or less how my week would go. They give you ideas for centers, so that's a good thing I also like, just as we were reading. And I would guide myself by this. Then, of course, the way to deliver the lesson, you have to do the pre-work. They build the background. They give you the video that you play first. They also give you vocabulary cards that I would use. You have them all here. You just have to click on them. So I would display this in my big screen. This is what I would display on the screen. We will say the word excel and the students will repeat it. And then we'll talk about the picture. What is this girl excelling? What does that mean? And then behind each of the cards, then it will tell you the definition and what you can do. Another thing when I was teaching vocabulary is that after you use the vocabulary cards with your students, I would use these questions as a quiz for the vocabulary words. So this could be like an exit ticket or something at the end of the vocabulary lesson. You can use these questions to see if the students were able to understand how to use the vocabulary word correctly. So this was a good thing. Every module and every reading has a set of guided questions for vocabulary. I really enjoy doing that. You also have with you your teaching pal, which I also visited quite often. For example, here for every page, you will click on this little student hat and it will tell you this is like a teacher's guide. It will instruct you what kind of questions you can ask per every page. So I would do that. I would read, I would ask the questions to the students that we were reading to monitor comprehension. That's all. It's like having a teacher's guide right there, but you just. Another good thing I liked about Into Reading is the anchor charts. They already created different anchor charts for the different skills. A lot of teachers just print these out in color and or maybe enlarge them and would put them in the bulletin boards. I saw a lot of teachers doing that. Also, Into Reading, I enjoyed that they would provide graphic organizers as well for each of the skills. What I did was, in the beginning of the year, I printed the whole set, and then as I need them, I had them ready. They come in Spanish as well, so it was the same graphic organizer for English and Spanish, and that was a good thing. That's basically the whole how the system works for Into Reading. And that's how it works. That's how the model ends, and then you start again with the second week and then go to the next reading and the same process. And that's how it was for all the modules. For connected solutions, another one that I like and I use quite a lot was the Writable, especially this year when we had writing integrating into our state test. Writable was an option to practice short constructive responses and long constructive responses. When you go to Writable, you will go to Explore, HMH curriculum resources. Mine are shown in Spanish because I use them mostly in Spanish, but it's the same as in English. You have two writing practices for each of the readings. And as you can see, what it gives is, again, the student have the text right here to the left, and then they have a prompt where this is the short constructive response. They will type it in there, and then the long constructive response will be here. So and then they will submit it and it will come to you. You have to assign, I would assign it through Google Classroom. I also like about this series, of course, that is narrated. This is the student book. This is what the kids see in their own textbook or in their own digital textbook. Our students have the consumable, but it's the same thing they will see. They could ask the question in the beginning. They could type here their answers, or in their book, they could do it as well. And I like that it narrates because some of the students, even in fifth grade, are non-readers, but they could still listen to the story.
The Inventor's Secret. What Thomas Edison Told Henry Ford by Suzanne Slay.
They could highlight it.
Illustrate.
I would teach them how to use this side. They could highlight as
Not so long ago,
follow along.
The world was a little slower, a little simpler, and a whole lot quieter.
Also, you can assign if somebody forgot their book, if you have a consumable and they left the book at home, they lost it, or if they were absent for some reason, if you will assign, you can assign this book through Google Classroom and they can listen to it there. Finally, there's a lot of resources that they provide. I did use some of them. It depends on what the students needed. So they provide all these different resources. My overall opinion into reading is that it depends the kind of students that you're using it for. Some of the stories, as I mentioned, were good and they are the students do enjoy them. However, there's others that are way too high in level for a fifth grader. And some of them are boring and unrelatable to them. So they are really not going to be very motivated to do the work. The last thing I'm going to mention here is that I will no longer be using Into Reading because our district decided that this curriculum was not efficient enough for us and it was not helping the students to pass the state test. So they have eliminated it. This is our last year with it. In August now of 2023, when we start school, we're going to have a brand new curriculum. They moved to Amplify. So once I work with the next one, Amplify, I will be able to do another video and compare both of them or tell you which one really is better. Well, there you have it. That was my quick overview of this Basel. What is your opinion about Into Reading? Do you have to use it? You may comment down below and let me know how you use this book series. Do you like it? Do you think it's too hard? Or do you really think this is the correct one for your students? Please like my video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. And I'll see you in my next one. See you soon.